So here I created a simple example. Imagine we took a sample of 66 students and we asked them what among these colors, red, blue, and green, which one they prefer the most. So that was the question. Which one of these three colors do you prefer the most, red, green, or blue? And also we registered their gender, whether the respondent, the student, was male or female. In total, there were 66 people. Out of these 66 people, 40 of them were male, 26 were female. And in total, 22 preferred red, 26 preferred blue, and 18 preferred green. In this cell, which is the intersection of red and male, we have 10. That means out of all the students, 10 of them were male students who preferred red, 17 were male students who preferred blue, 13 were male students who preferred green, and so on. Now, to create percentages, there are two ways you can create percentages. You can create row percentages, or you can create column percentages. How do you create row percentages? You will have to multiply each number here by the row total. So if you add up 10, 17, and 13, you get 40. That's the row total. Then if you divide 10 by 40, you get 0.25 or 25%. If you divide 17 by 40, you get 0.43, which is 43%. And I think I rounded these numbers to the nearest hundredth. And if you divide the 13 by 40, you would get 32%. Then you're creating row percentages. The sum of the row percentages is going to be 1. The same will be true for the next row. So to create these percentages here, to calculate these percentages, you will have to divide each number by the row total. So 12 divided by 26, 9 divided by 26, and 5 divided by 26 will give you these numbers, and the sum of these numbers is going to be 1. How do you create the column percentages? You would divide each number by the column total. 10 plus 12 is 22. Now, if you divide 10 by 22, you get 45%. If you divide 12 by 22, you get 55%. And of course, if you add up these two column percentages, you're supposed to get 1. And all of these percentages are rounded to the nearest hundredths. Okay, now, how do you interpret the row percentages and how do you interpret the column percentages? One thing that you should understand is that when you have row percentages, these numbers, these three numbers, the numbers so that their sum is 1, they are comparable. However, when you're looking at the row percentages, this percentage here is not comparable with this one. Or this percentage here is not comparable with this one. Because look, their sum is not 1. Their sum is not 1. So these two are not comparable. Only the percentages so that their sum is 1. So this, and this are comparable. Also, this, and this are comparable. However, these two are not comparable. These two are not comparable. So how do you interpret that? You can say among males, the most popular color was blue, 43%, which is more than 32% or 25%. So among males, the most popular color was blue. But among females, the most popular color was red. So these would be good interpretations. So how to interpret row percentages? You can make sentences like this for row percentages. You can say a student who is male or female is more or less likely to prefer blue, red, or green. Examples, you can say a male student is most likely to prefer blue because when you look at the male percentages, the biggest percentage belongs to blue. Or you can say a female student is more likely to prefer blue than green. When you compare these two, you can see 35%, 19%. So among females, or a female student is more likely to prefer blue than green. And these would be good interpretations. When you're looking at the column percentages, again, same story. Percentages so that their sum is 1 are comparable. So these two are comparable. These two are also comparable. These two are also comparable. But for example, this one is not comparable with this one, or this one is not comparable with this one. So how to interpret column percentages? You can create sentences like this. You can say a student who prefers red, or a student who prefers blue, or a student who prefers green is more or less likely to be male or female. So this would be a good interpretation. Example, you can say a student who prefers green, that means forget about the rest of the students, forget about the ones who prefer red or blue. Let's just talk about the ones who prefer green. Among the people who prefer green, 72% are male, 28% are female. So a student who prefers green is more likely to be male because this is bigger than this. Now, I'm going to show you how you would have misinterpretations if you compare, for example, when you have column percentages, if you compare them among rows. For example, if you compare this number here, 65%, by this number here, 72%, you can have this wrong interpretation. You may say, okay, 72% is more than 65%. So I can say among males, green is more popular than blue. Yes, can I do that? That would be absolutely wrong, because the reality is that among males, the most popular color is blue. Yes, this is the right interpretation. But if you're comparing the wrong percentages, you can have a wrong interpretation. You cannot compare these two because, or generally you cannot compare these three because their sum is not 1. Okay, so